If you feel crazy for missing someone who hurts you or, addicted to a person you know is harmful, I want you to know right now, you are not broken. Your brain is responding exactly as it was designed to respond to a very specific pattern of abuse and affection.
We're going to walk you through the neuroscience of why this is happening and the 7 stages that got you here. And do make sure you stay to the very end, because we're going to share the actionable solution for handling the withdrawal symptoms that hit when you finally try to leave, when you're done with that relationship. Because knowing how to handle that physical crash is often the missing key to staying out for good.
So we're going to start with what is trauma bond? What is a trauma bond? So a trauma bond is this powerful emotional attachment that forms between a victim and their abuser. It happens through repeated cycles of abuse, followed by affection or relief, creating this psychological dependency that feels just impossible to break.
Yes. You can feel super stuck, right?
Yeah.
And the term was actually first coined by Dr. Patrick Carnes to describe the misuse of fear and then excitement and sometimes sexual feelings to trap a person, especially in a romantic relationship, although it can happen in other contexts as well. The most crucial truth to understand here is that this is a neurobiological survival response, this whole trauma bond thing, not evidence of weakness or of poor judgment of a deep character flaw within you.
Because when we're in danger, our brains are wired to attach to whoever provides safety. So even if that same person is the source of the threat, we're going to try to attach to the one who provides us safety. So this creates a really confusing reality where the abusive person becomes both the cause of your emotional pain and the only apparent source of relief.
Yeah. So you might be wondering, why do I get stuck in this relationship? Why am I stuck in this relationship? Or maybe it's happened more than once, these relationships. So here's the biology a little bit just to help you understand what's going on here. Your brain operates on a system of rewards and threats and reacts to those things. And in trauma-bonded relationship, that system actually gets hijacked through a process called intermittent reinforcement. That's when something happens occasionally, unpredictably, once in a while. So when abuse occurs, which is intermittent usually, your body floods with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, putting your nervous system into survival mode.
And then when the abuser shifts to kindness or affection, or even just the absence of the abuse, your brain releases dopamine. So that's the same chemical associated with pleasure and reward. So during these love bombing or relief phases, your brain also floods with oxytocin, the bonding hormone that bonds a mother to her infant.
Yeah. And that biological glue, which is meant for good things, makes detaching from a sometimes harmful person feel physically painful, sometimes like you're rending something or tearing something by leaving them. But this cycle of chronic stress followed by positive reinforcement creates these intense feelings that can feel like love, but they're actually just a biochemical response to trauma. They form this trauma bond that we're talking about.
So before we map out the stages here of trauma bonding, we need to answer the question, how do I know if this isn't just a passionate relationship? Because when it's great, it's great. But when it's bad, it's really bad.
Yes.
So we're going to put a comparison on the screen right now to help you visualize the difference between healthy attachment and trauma bonding. And if you're listening to our podcast, we'll describe this so you can follow as well.
Okay, so let's just go through the rows together if you're watching, and I'll read them if you're listening only. But the first row is about the foundation of the relationship. In a healthy bond, the foundation of a relationship is trust and safety. 2 very basic, very simple words, but that is what is and should be normal. However, in a trauma bond, the foundation is not trust and safety, it's fear and unpredictability. So quite different and landing very differently in the body as well.
Yeah. And then the next row is communication. So healthy communication, it's open, it's honest, it's respectful.
Yeah.
But trauma bond communication is defined by manipulation or lies or control. It's not an open, honest, respectful dialogue between 2 people.
Straightforward even.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you think about boundaries, well, healthy boundaries in healthy relationships are respected and encouraged. The person may not like them, might react to them, but they can understand them. But in an unhealthy or in a trauma bond, boundaries are violated, and not only are they violated, but they're often punished as well. Or there's retribution for trying to put a boundary on someone, and the person who's the victim gets reversed. Like, oh, you're doing this boundary to me. You're trying to be mean to me. You're mistreating me. We talked in a previous show about DARVO, deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. And that can often happen with boundaries in a trauma bond. Yeah. And so that's one thing that also is characteristic.
Yeah. So moving on to the next row is self-worth. So healthy love enhances your self-worth, makes you feel good about yourself, makes you feel worthy as a person. Valued. Yeah. Whereas trauma bonding, it diminishes that. It attacks it.
Yes.
You're embarrassing. Yes. You're not enough. You're like the attack.
Yeah.
Just always is
for
there.
Sure. Yeah. And then with regards to independence in healthy relationships, those encourage your independence, your strength as a person, your individuality. But trauma bonds discourage and punish independence because the trauma bond requires you to be dependent upon the person who's perpetuating the violence.
Yes, that was a very quick sentence. Do you want to say that one?
That was a lot of P's too.
Yeah.
It requires you to be dependent on the person who is perpetuating the violence.
Perpetuating the problem. And then after conflict happens, healthy couples, they can find resolution and growth.
Yeah.
Like that's
productive, the conflict usually.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't feel good in the moment. No conflict ever does. But it can be respectful. We can resolve it. We can grow from it. But in a trauma bond, you get relief, maybe after the conflict is over, followed by anxiety. Like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. It's not really relief. Like it's a short term.
It's not helpful.
Yeah, short term relief. Yeah. And then it's just waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for it to happen again.
Yeah. So moving on from there to trauma bonding itself now specifically, again, trauma bonds, like they develop through predictable progression of stages. So we want to go through that with you now. The first common stage is the stage 1, love bombing. And that involves like overwhelming positive attention where the partner showers you with gifts, with constant communication. They're like there for you all the time and more than you could ever imagine. And declarations of love, like you're finally that person. And their goal is to often make you feel uniquely special. Like there's something extra that's happening here that doesn't happen in ordinary new relationships.
Mm-hmm. Like it creates a high, which you'll later chase. And while it feels like a soulmate connection, it's actually a calculated pattern to accelerate that attachment, to accelerate your dependence on them. Yeah. So stage 2 here is trust and dependency, where the abusive person is systematically increasing your dependency on them through accelerated commitment or financial dependence.
Yeah, things like move into my place, you can use my car.
Right, you don't need a car, you can just use mine.
Yeah, which like these sound amazing and generous, kind of that's the love bomby side of it. But now like when you think about leaving that relationship, you don't have anywhere to go to. Mm-hmm. You don't have transportation, which is a huge independence factor. Those are just 2 examples. It could be other things as well, but that's kind of gives you an idea, right?
Right. Which kind of goes back to what we were talking about before about eroding independence.
Yes.
Rather than building it.
Yeah, these things do tie together even though we're representing them in stages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing to watch is that they often begin subtle isolation from friends and family, often like disguised as love, saying things like, I just want you all to myself. I just want it to be us together. And other things like that are beginning to criticize them or just small moves to begin to estrange or distance you. And as those other relationships fall away, the abusive partner then becomes your entire world, which sets your stage for the criticism that follows in stage 3.
Mm-hmm. So this criticism, like where the person who once praised everything begins finding fault with your appearance, finding fault with your decisions, even finding fault with your worth, like who you are as a person. Yeah. They find these faults. And it creates cognitive dissonance or like confusion, mental confusion, because you hold 2 contradictory beliefs. Like the real loving version of them that I see sometimes. Yeah. And now this critical version you're seeing now.
Yeah.
Like this criticism comes out and it's confusing because I want to see this and I'm seeing this and what do I do with it?
Yeah. And then stage 4 is gaslighting. You can almost see how this flows from that too. So that's the systematic reality distortion, the erosion of your sense of what's true or accurate, where the abuser denies events, denies things that were said, changes things that were said, minimizes your feelings. Phrases like "that never happened," "you're too sensitive," "you're too emotional," those erode your ability to trust your own perceptions. And that makes you more dependent on the abuser then to define reality. And now they can control the narrative of what happens and doesn't happen. And you have to shift inside and move inside of their world, their version, which makes you even more disorientated and dependent.
Dependent on them, even for your reality. Yeah.
So just pausing here for a moment as you're listening, like what parts of this are you relating to most? Are there other things that you've learned about your experience with trauma bonding? If you've been through this and it's safe for you to share, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know, like your experience there helps other people just as much, or maybe probably even more than therapists who are talking about this. That real lived experience can be so grounding for others. So if you feel like up to sharing, we'd love to hear from you. Read all your comments.
Yeah, I love your feedback. So stage 5 of trauma bonding is a resignation, where you stop resisting, you stop expressing your needs just to avoid conflict. Like it's almost a state of learned helplessness.
Yeah.
No opinions.
A little bit of a collapse.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then, which leads to stage 6, which is this loss of self.
Yeah.
Where your identity becomes like almost entirely defined by the relationship or by your abuser. And then you lose touch with your own values and goals.
Yeah. And then stage 7 is addiction. And I kind of struggle with this word a little bit in understanding how it related, but just take it with me this way. It's the final stage of this process. Think about like complete emotional addiction to this abuse relief cycle, this thing that happens. So like addiction, like where people recognize that there are negative consequences for the action, you may also recognize, hey, there's harm happening here. But maybe at the same time, you feel physically unable to leave because separation triggers genuine withdrawal symptoms like anxiety and physical discomfort and stuff like that. Just like when I work with people with addiction in recovery, there's a certain amount of loss related to like stopping that addiction, like and not going back there, not having that old, faithful, dependable thing that harmed you available to you now. And so that's the final stage, is where you're stuck in this thing and you don't like it and you can't leave it. And that's super tough place to be in this trauma bond.
Yeah. Even like the dopamine hit part of addiction, right?
There's a high when it's great, when you're getting love bombed, when the repairs happen.
Yeah. And so we stay because we want the high.
Yeah.
Which of course we want the high.
Yeah. And you wish that could be the normal, and who wouldn't?
Yes.
And who wouldn't want that to be the new thing that now continues?
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't continue.
Yeah.
So let's pivot from these stages. Verlynda, talk to our listeners about why leaving is so hard to do.
Yeah. So one major challenge that makes leaving so difficult is the feeling of like, I can't leave because I love them.
Yeah.
Like you can see good parts in this person and you tell yourself you can handle the harmful parts. So I think we need to remember here, what would be helpful to remember here is that love builds self-esteem while trauma bonding destroys it.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to put that little like question in there of like, is it love? Like, yes, in the good moments, it feels like love.
Yeah.
And those highs feel so good. And yet, is it truly love when you're not being built up, when you're not being respected?
Yes.
When you're not creating that independence and self-esteem, like all those good things.
Yes. It's not a healthy love. Like a healthy love should build you up. So another trap is the thought, well, maybe they'll change this time. And I did mention that earlier, but the hope that follows like reconciliation after things kind of get made up again, or there's some kind of attempt to butter things up or smooth things over, that's actually just part of the intermittent reinforcement cycle that strengthens that trauma bond. That new affection from the next round of love bombing isn't evidence of change. It's part of the pattern, and recognizing that can be super helpful, even if it's hard to recognize it.
Yeah. And then even when you've recognized it, to document these behavioral patterns over weeks, right? Write down the promises made versus the promises kept. So then your rational mind can see what your trauma-bonded brain is struggling to acknowledge. And then when it's written down, your reality can't be eroded and you can't be gaslit and whatever, because it's like, actually, this was said and this was what was done.
Yeah.
And you have some like concrete, I was going to say evidence. It's not really evidence, but like grounding, something you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're struggling to trust yourself in the moment.
Yes, because if you're in this, you know that you're disorientated and it's hard to know what's right and what's true.
Yeah.
No, as we mentioned at the start, many people are shocked by the withdrawal symptoms that come when they try to leave. They don't anticipate that. And of course not. You shouldn't have withdrawal symptoms, but this is the reality of this difficult situation with trauma bonding. And there can be things like severe anxiety or depression, a lot of grief, physical urges to return. And we want you to know that this isn't weakness in you. It's not, again, not a flaw in your character. It is your brain experiencing genuine withdrawal from that dopamine cycle related to this thing that happens because of the violence, the harm that's being done. And that dopamine cycle is something that your brain can get dependent on. And so, of course, there would be withdrawals.
Yeah. So when these withdrawal symptoms hit, like a helpful solution here is to not try to break free alone.
Yeah.
I mean, in the context of safety, if there's violence, right, you might need to just leave, whether or not.
You might need to do it alone to get somewhere safe.
You might, yeah. But it's helpful to build a support system before attempting to leave.
Yes.
Like including a safety plan, professional support from a trauma-informed therapist who understands this neurological reality. Even a couple friends who are supportive or who understand it and supportive of you, just to not be alone in it will help relieve these physiological withdrawal symptoms that you're going through.
Yeah. Somebody, just people to be with you through it.
Be with, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in saying this, of course, we don't want you to not leave because you haven't built this. If it's unsafe and you need to leave, please leave. Please prioritize safety above everything else. You can build this after, along the way, whatever you need to do.
Whatever you need. Yeah.
But if it's not to that level of unsafety, then beginning to strategize around some of this before you leave can be a solid plan to help you stay in that process of breaking out of this trauma bond. So I think that's kind of where that recommendation is coming from.
Yeah.
And of course, like as you're listening, if you recognize yourself in these stages or wherever you find yourself in all of that or in this cycle, please hear this. Like the fact that you formed a trauma bond with someone says nothing about your intelligence, your strength, or your personality. It means your actual, like your survival instincts were working and something else is wrong with this other person. But the thing is, like those neural pathways that were formed in this trauma bond, just like they got formed for that, they can be formed to something healthy. They can be changed. And your sense of self, your independence can be reobtained and it can be rebuilt.
And again, you don't have to break this bond alone. So at Therapivo, our therapists specialize in helping people safely navigate this complex process of overcoming trauma bonds. We understand the neuroscience and the courage it takes to seek help. You can book a free 20-minute consultation at therapivo.com to start your journey back to yourself.
And of course, if therapy is not an option for you right now, like we're counselors, that's what we like to offer. But you can do so much by educating yourself with good, especially clinician-informed content, like by other therapists or counselors. Learning and just educating yourself about this is a powerful way to help you rise above these kinds of relationships, to ground you back in reality, to have your experience normalized, to realize that there's others that go through these things as well. Of course, seek out local support groups, books in your library that can continue to empower you. In your home province or in your country, if you're in the USA, there are national domestic violence helplines. All those things are like gateways to more resources to help you break free, to leave the violence behind, and to step out of this trauma bond.